Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the College Town Podcast. I'm Derek DeBurger. With me is Sam Roth.
Hey, guys.
Well, this episode, it devolved. It devolved. So, if you like live betting,
Oh, whatever. That was like the last 3 seconds of the video.
yeah, no, stick around if you want to see live
Live
betting on
betting.
snooker and tennis.
No, it was just a tennis match. Get it right.
Yeah.
But you can bet on snooker apparently at 11:30 on a Tuesday.
Don't encourage this. We also talk about Les Miles.
We get into a
suing.
little bit of debate about that. I played devil's advocate to Derek's theories there.
Okay, we'll get it. Okay, we talk about Les Miles suing LSU. We talk about the Big 10, Big 12. Oh, God, exploring their naming rights.
College sports is turning into NASCAR.
Yeah, Dan Hurley calling his players stupid. Deion Sanders forcing his players to go to a Lil Wayne concert.
Yeah.
And then the College World Series update on how that's going.
Yeah.
So
Rather slow week.
Yeah. No, I know. I hope you join the episode. We'll see you in there. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the College Town Podcast. It's Derek Berger, Sam Roth.
How are we doing, guys?
Just because it happened last night, as of recording this, shout out to the Celtics. Winningest NBA franchise all time.
You can shout them out.
I don't care. I'm not a Celtics fan, man.
I'm not a Celtics fan either.
I'm a Spurs fan. Go Spurs.
Go,
Their best franchise all time.
Go Knicks. So, screw the Celtics.
Well,
Yeah.
it was a terrible game.
Every game in that finals was terrible, if we're being honest.
There was a couple of them where the Mavs came back in the fourth and made it interesting.
I mean, yeah, I
It
guess.
was a bad
I think that was
finals.
the one. Yeah, and then the one that the Mavs won, they won by like 20 or whatever.
They won by like 30.
Yeah,
It was
something
a terrible
ridiculous.
game. Yeah,
This
no.
is probably one of the worst finals we've
It
ever
is an
seen.
awful finals. Definitely one of the worst non-sweep finals. Anyway, moving on to what we actually talk about.
Right.
The College World Series.
What's going on?
I'm sure plenty of people clicked off. The College World Series is rolling on. We have two teams eliminated already. We got Virginia and NC State. I think NC State are the worst betting odds going in. So
Sounds
it's
about
not
right.
a shocker.
Were they the lowest seed, too?
No, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Team that I still
They're
still
still
posit
alive.
did not deserve to be in there. I know they
Let's see if they can beat.
got hot. That's it. That's all it is.
They got to play Kentucky.
I'm
now.
not gonna get on this train again. Yeah, no. So far, Tennessee and A&M are the only ones. They're the ones in their respective winners brackets. I think as of recording this, North Carolina, Florida State play today, and then Kentucky and Florida play today. Those are both elimination games. Anything stand out to you so far?
Watching the A&M Kentucky game, how Kentucky was basically getting no hit through 6 or 7 innings, something like that last night, was pretty notable to me. It's
Yeah,
really,
their offense was.
really struggling. A&M 17 got hurt. I'm not sure if he's an important player or not, but
Couldn't tell you, frankly.
yeah, I honestly don't know. But as far as following the games, I truly did forget how much Omaha is a pitcher friendly.
Oh my God, yes.
It is
And
massive.
That's on top of this has been a relatively low scoring tournament overall.
Right.
There's not been a ton of just teams just crushing the bases. It hasn't happened this tournament. And then you go in Omaha and it's a massive ballpark.
Yeah.
These have been some very low scoring games.
They sure have. I also just looked at it I saw Jack Caglione for Florida hit a home run. I saw Kentucky had a home run last night.
Kentucky's hit a few home runs. They're a good, really good hitting team.
Right. And so it's really weird to me that they were struggling last night.
I think it makes sense that the better hitting teams would struggle come Omaha because Kentucky relies more on their hitting than their pitching. Their pitching's not bad, but it's not they're not amazing on the mounds. And so when you get into a pitcher's ballpark and all season long you used to just smacking it out of the park, which Kentucky hits a ton of home runs.
Yeah.
They're going to struggle a little bit. They did win their first game. They snuck by NC State in extra innings because of 2 home runs.
Right.
But no, I'm not. I'm not shocked at all that Kentucky is not necessarily killing it in the tournament
Right, and now they got
or
Florida.
the College World Series.
It is also funny how, well, never mind, because I just can't read, but Virginia and NC State are eliminated, and I was about to say, well, we got an SEC for a fact is going to make the finals in bracket 2.
Yeah.
And then bracket 1, it's right now controlling the way is Tennessee, right?
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee has the advantage. They just have to win one more game.
Right, exactly. I was like, looking at the double elimination factor, if you can win the first 2, you're in a great position.
Huge, because you get an extra day of rest.
And not only that, is that you can also play the third game. Not to say that you don't want to necessarily win it, but if you do happen to lose that game, you will have enough rest to where you can probably go back to the top of your rotation again.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So you probably, rather than having the onslaught of games of fighting your way up out of that loser's bracket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, these are basically just like, the format of the tournament. It's like regional, super regional, another regional essentially, and then another super regional.
And then finally,
and so,
yeah.
Like in the regionals, you want to win that first game. You by all means, you want to win that first game.
Yeah.
You only have a 7% chance of winning the regional.
Climbing your way out of it. Yeah.
If you lose that first game.
Because you have to go, 4-0 rather than going 3-0? You have to win 4 more games.
Yep.
If you lose that first game.
Yes. And so it's extremely difficult. And so it already behooves you to try and win that first game. In the College World Series, the 2 brackets, if you win that first game, it's even bigger. Because if you're the 1 seed, like Tennessee, you get 2 days off. You're Texas A&M, who, they're in the winners brackets of bracket 2, they get a day off. So not only do you get to, let's just throw our Friday starter. Let's throw our ace. Like, the rest of your bullpen gets a little bit of a break. And so, yeah, it's going to be hard for any team not named Tennessee or Texas A&M to make the championship. But it's not impossible.
No, it's not. And then also the nice thing is, like you said, it restarts with another super regional for the final. So it's not like those losses are going to be counted against you in the final.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you still riding with your picks here? Because my NC State got eliminated. I'm still Tennessee, and I don't really have a pick for the bottom one.
I mean, no, I think it's going to be Tennessee and A&M making it. I originally picked North Carolina and A&M. I feel very confident about A&M. I think A&M is going to win it all. I think they're going to be the 5th SEC team in a row to win it. But I don't know. That first game that North Carolina and Tennessee played against each other, it just really wasn't very competitive. Like, Tennessee won fairly handily. Tennessee had to scrape by Florida State, though. So, like, they are vulnerable. It's just, is North Carolina the team to beat them? I don't know about that.
Yeah,
you picked Tennessee and NC State. NC State's already out.
I just was trying to have fun. I was like, pick the 1 SEC team in bracket 1, pick the 1 ACC team.
Anyone could win it. It's not a terrible pick.
Yeah. Part of me just out of spite wants to pick Florida just because I think it'd be funny if they were to make it to the final.
I'm just so mad that they made it. I don't care that they're in the College World Series. I still posit they did not deserve to make it. You can't be a game above 500 and not win your tournament.
I mean, they did make it to like the final 8 teams. They won a regional and a super regional.
Yeah, in a random sport.
You can't necessarily say that it's fully random though.
It's the most random sport.
Yeah, I know. We've had this conversation, but what I'm getting at is like you still have to have talent.
They have talent. That's what I've said. They've had talent all year, but they were terrible all year. It's like USC in men's basketball had talent. They were an awful team. They didn't deserve to make the tournament just because they had talent.
All right.
I'm not. I said I wasn't going to get on it, and I did.
You did.
Let's move on.
Fair enough.
Let's move on. We want to talk about what do we talk about first? We want to talk about Les Miles.
I'll let you pick.
Let's talk about Les Miles. That's a quick one. Les Miles. of those of you who might know. He used to be LSU's head coach from 2005
For
to
football.
for football, yes. From 2005 to 2016, he's suing LSU. Even though I think he won a national championship there, did he? I could be wrong. Let me check. But
Did he?
let me check. Yeah, he's suing LSU because LSU got caught cheating.
What'd they do?
Oh, it was just like recruiting violations.
No, fun stuff.
Yeah, they got caught cheating under Les Miles, and you know they're like, hey, don't
punish us.
kill us.
We'll punish ourselves.
Yeah, they just vacated like a bunch of Les Miles wins,
Right.
and the NCAA was like, cool, that works for us. We don't care.
All right. Oh, 2007.
Yeah.
You did in 2007. How about that?
Yes. So, yeah, they vacated 37 wins from 2012 to 2015, which took his record from 145 and 73 to 108 and 73, which is going from like a 66% winning percentage to 597. It's a pretty big drop.
Yep.
Well, he's suing LSU, like I said, many times, because he's saying the vacated wins makes it impossible for him to make the Hall of Fame. So,
We'll see.
yeah, we'll see. I think, he has a case. He absolutely has a case. Like,
Right.
he coached the games. They won the games. I think this is, in my opinion, a precedent case. Because I am of the mindset vacating wins is the dumbest thing in the world.
Okay.
Because sure, you may have, like, even if you did cheat to like get in that position, you still had to play the games. You still had to win.
Right. But if you were cheating, wouldn't that make it unfair to the other team?
It gives you. It depends on what the cheating is. It gives you some advantage. But like, there's some terrible coaches that do nothing with like talent or an advantage. There's like terrible teams that can't do anything with like even though they have the superior talent. Like, it just
Right.
yeah, like it just because you cheat off the field doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. I'm not trying to encourage cheating.
No.
I do think the closest thing to like just such an unfair advantage would be knowing like stealing signals in baseball.
Oh yeah.
Which is
if you know what's coming.
yeah. Which is kind of going away because of pitch comms.
Yeah.
It's still alive in the SEC. It just means more. And also what Michigan did in football for the past like 2.5 years before they got caught. That, because there's there's proof there.
Oh yeah,
Like,
definitely.
Someone tipped off TCU, and they were like, "Oh, okay, we'll just give them fake signs."
Yeah.
And so Michigan thought they were stealing real signs. Turns out they were stealing fake signs, and they were just getting cooked for the first like what was it, half of the game,
Something like that. Yeah.
around that.
Yeah.
And then when they were like, "Okay, we can't steal signs anymore," they started to kill them.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's such an advantage for Michigan. And the year, I think no one talks about how the year before they made the college football playoff for the first time, they had won 2 games. So they literally went from a 2-win team to, oh, they're one of the 4 best teams in the sport. And then they stayed that way. But even then, it's tricky because, like, it's really hard. Because after, yeah, they cheated. They had such a crazy advantage over other people. But they got caught.
I think what you're trying to get at is you're not for instant result cheating, where it's instantaneous, where someone does something, you have a direct counter to it in response to it. Whereas like this type of cheating, where, yeah, sure, you called a recruit outside of the restricted areas of when you're able to call them, or you might have lent some money to a player. It was still their own decision. It's basically to get players in the door is one thing. To break the rules, it's another thing to be on the field and game time decision, for lack of better words,
Yeah.
being able to cheat.
Yeah. Recruiting violations will give you
A boost, but it's not gonna. It doesn't move the needle a whole lot
yeah.
unless it's a world class athlete that you're going after.
Even then, it doesn't always do it.
Well, with
Like
11 guys on the field,
to stay on, to stay on LSU, Will Wade. Everyone knew Will Wade cheated to get Ben Simmons to LSU. They didn't even make the tournament.
right?
Ben Simmons was one of the best players in college basketball the year. Didn't matter.
Right.
They didn't make the tournament. So, because of that, I am not a fan of vacating wins because you still had to play the games. Like, even in the cases of, Michigan, like, once they got caught cheating and they had to stop cheating, they were still pretty dominant.
Yeah.
They were still really good. Except for one game where they kind of struggled a little bit to, like, find their footing because they'd been cheating for 2 years. But no, they still won a national championship without cheating.
Do you think there's a line to be drawn about vacating wins when it comes to recruiting violations, in the sense of, like, if it's on such a mass scale? Like, if majority of your recruiting class is you got them through illegally?
No, because you still got to win the games. You
Interesting.
still have to win the games.
Like, I understand if it's like one recruit or two recruits, and it's like, okay, that guy doesn't move the needle a ton for those wins. But when it's like majority of the class or something along those lines, I feel like that does warrant something to the extent of vacating wins.
I just don't think so.
Because, I mean, it's one thing to do it for one guy. It's another thing to do it as a practice, and we're creatures of habit. Like, if you're just...
I think
if
if you do it for one guy, you have to... If you do it for one guy, then you're doing it for everyone.
Right. And so, if your foundation of your team is based off of cheating, wouldn't that be... Like, that probably is grounds for vacating wins.
I think there's other punishments.
Well, what would be a better punishment than to vacate wins?
Fine them, suspend a coach.
But what about for this instance in Les Miles, where he's just not in the sport anymore? How do you affect him other than his wins? Because he's the one that cheated. It's not like the schools should get punished for something that a coach did. Like,
sometimes the schools should. The schools know about things.
But that's the dumb thing that I don't like about it, is that one coach did something, they leave, they go off to better ventures, and then the school gets punished for what that coach did. There should be some repercussions for the coach who actually committed the acts.
I guarantee you LSU knew.
It's not about they knew, but it's about Les Miles being held accountable. It's not about whether the school knew or not. It's about holding Les Miles accountable, and I feel like the only way to hold him accountable is to vacate wins.
But he still won those games.
Yeah, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but through actions that other coaches, in theory, were not doing. So he had an advantage.
I mean, I guarantee you everyone else was cheating.
I don't think you can say that blanket statement that everyone else was cheating.
Okay, if you weren't cheating, you were in last place.
No. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. I understand that statement and being said. At the same time, though, you're the one that got caught. It's like the Astros with baseball. It's like, were other people probably stealing signs? Yeah, probably. Did the Astros get caught? Yeah. Did anything happen to them? No, but should have. Yeah. But that's a whole different subject on that matter. But it's like, it's not about whether or not other people are doing it. It's a matter of proving that other people did it, and you're the one who got caught. It's like going into court and being like, I shouldn't be punished for stealing in the store. Other people are stealing, but you haven't caught them. You're the one who got caught. That's the way I look at it. But I'm not the only one. So,
I don't think it's really comparable.
How's it not?
Because you're not, like, if you steal something from a store, you got to give it back. Fine, I don't care.
These stealing wins.
No, because you can't literally steal wins.
You can, though.
No, you can't.
Okay.
The difference, here's what it's more like this. If you stole really good ingredients to cook a soup, and then you cook the soup and you're just not a very good chef and it's not that good, it's like, okay, you should be punished for stealing the ingredients. You can't give the soup back. You made the soup already. The ingredients aren't going to be, they're already made into something. Versus, you know, I don't know, someone just making a really good soup. It's like, that's what it is. That's what it is. He
So what should
cheated to get recruits.
So what should the punishment be for stealing the ingredients?
Fine LSU. Fine Les Miles. If you get Les Miles to pay it, I don't know.
I was about to say, can they even have the jurisdiction to fine Les Miles because he's not even in the sport?
You can.
So the only way you can really affect him is through the wins. I just think from this perspective, it really leaves this as the only option. I mean, to be fair, this isn't the NCAA doing it. This is LSU's doing it. Because
LSU's doing it so that they don't
don't punish. Right.
Because LSU, I guarantee you knew about it.
Right. Well, what they're doing is basically creating him as a fall guy, more or
Yes.
less. To be fair, he is the one that did it.
I don't think he's the only one that did it.
I'm not saying that, but he for sure did this.
Yeah, but just to only punish LSU, Les Miles is I think it's ridiculous. And the way they're punishing it, Les Miles.
I mean, like, I don't think there's any other way to is the issue that I'm getting at.
LSU could just take it on the chin. That's the other way.
Yeah, but
LSU is punishing Les
But
Miles.
why should you punish players now and coaches now for something that a coach did in the past? It's a completely different environment.
You're punishing a program for something a program did in the past.
I understand that aspect of it, but also, why does he get away scot-free? In your eyes,
Because he's retired. He got fired at multiple places.
So he can just ride off into the sunset, free.
Yeah, because
free
it
of
didn't
all-
affect him.
What do
It
you-
didn't affect him in the end because he got fired.
Doesn't matter if he did a crappy job after cheating.
That's the whole point of what I'm saying. Is that if you do a crappy job after cheating, what are you going to do? Vacate the wins? They're going to lose with worse players anyway. Like, it doesn't matter.
Do you think Les Miles should be punished?
I don't think he should have his wins vacated, no.
Okay, so what do you think the punishment should be then for him?
Punish LSU.
But that doesn't punish Les Miles.
I don't care. LSU knew about it. You can't punish Les Miles. He's gone.
Well, they just did.
Okay, but he's suing, so we'll see what happens.
Right, exactly.
All right, we're not going to find any middle ground here.
I just think I was just playing a little devil's advocate.
I know.
What's
but you
wrong
were
with
pushing my buttons.
What's
and you
wrong
knew
with it, man? I mean, he's the one that knew. Anyway, we're moving on.
The Big 10, the Big 12, whatever. 2 letters, 2 numbers off. 2 off. The Big 12 is exploring selling their naming rights. Yeah, they're trying to make money because they are currently the 4th most profitable conference behind, of course, the SEC and the Big 10, and also the ACC. The one that everyone's like, oh, the ACC is terrible as far as like revenue. And it's like, they're not the Big 10 or the SEC, but they're making more than the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people don't realize that. I think people just see the stability of the conferences, and they're like, well, of course the Big 12 is making more than the ACC. No, the ACC is making like $10 million more a year.
I mean,
per school.
if you also just think about brands per se, after the Big 12 lost their 2 biggest brands, I would say the ACC has better brands.
Well, the ACC's been a better brand. The Big 12 is relatively new.
Yeah. But, yeah, they're selling naming rights of conferences. Personally, I think this is just NASCAR-fying college sports, basically.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
I mean, it's already kind of happened when you have, like, it was like the Sugar Bowl presented by Prudential was the name of the Sugar Bowl or whatever.
Yeah, but the Pop-Tart Bowl is an even worse example.
Yes.
It's a bowl game that literally doesn't have a name.
It's called the Pop-Tart Bowl.
They founded it, and they're like, okay,
the Cheez-It
literally,
Bowl.
whoever gives us money, you're the name of the bowl game.
Right.
That being said, I love the Pop-Tart Bowl because they had the edible mascot.
Came out of a toaster.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's good marketing.
But, you know.
But then also that being said, it's like, are we really about to have coaches being out there? You know, we're so thankful to be in the Home Depot SEC conference, and we're just really happy with everything that's been going on here. Like,
with the naming rights, it wouldn't be that egregious.
Oh, it won't be?
I mean, it's still going to be, you're selling out. But let's say Home Depot does decide to sponsor the Big 12. They buy their naming rights. the conference then, for however long that contract is the Home Depot 12.
Mm,
It's not the big anymore. It's the Home Depot 12.
right.
Which is wild. Wild to think about.
Oh, so they're dropping the word big?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I hate that.
It's pretty terrible.
That's so bad.
Yeah.
Golly, what big corporation? It is the Amazon 12. It's the Apple 12. It's the
Apple 12 is fun.
It's the Oracle 12. I don't know.
See, no, okay. There's a couple that actually have nice rings to it. The Oracle 12, the Apple 12.
That just sounds like a phone.
Yeah, but like it so
No, it's gonna be something like the BP 12. It's gonna be something Texas oil related or
yeah.
just the market out
The
there.
Philips 6612.
It's I'm trying to think of what's out in Oklahoma and like New
The
Mexico.
Prime Energy Drink 12.
Yeah, they're getting sued.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's got bad electrolytes.
I don't follow that.
But yeah, golly, could you imagine KSI and Logan Paul's face on a conference?
No, I couldn't.
Just
I
it's
don't
like two fat heads with Prime 12 on it.
I don't think they have enough money. I don't think Prime has enough money to sponsor.
Well, they won't even sponsor it, I don't think, because their marketing is their YouTubers. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you got to try and catch up. It'll be interesting to see how much money this actually adds.
you gotta sell out.
Because the ACC has been aggressively trying to close the revenue gap, and they've actually, they're making more money than they previously ever have, obviously, but like they're still, like 25 million behind the Big Ten. Like they're still a lot. They're still like 55 million behind the SEC.
Right.
So
It'll be fun to see. In your opinion, do you think the ACC or the Big 12 have better football this year?
that's a good question. That is a good question.
'Cause
I think the Big 12 has more teams that have higher ceilings. I think the ACC is going to be a lot better than it was last year. However, I don't think Florida State's going to be as good. And I just think that like the middle of the conference is going to be hovering around that like 20 to 35 range. A lot of the middle of the conference. That's how I view the ACC. I don't know. It depends on how good those teams from the Big 12 are that have really high ceilings. Because I think the best team out of either the ACC or the Big 12 is going to be Utah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, you know I'm very high on Utah.
Well, also if like Cam Rising can come back and do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas should be decent with Jalen Daniels coming back.
Kansas State
would be interesting.
Arizona is returning a ton of talent.
Did lose their head coach though.
That it's going to be interesting to see just how much that affects them.
And how can you forget Oklahoma State too?
Yeah. Oklahoma State's consistent. They're a good program.
Whereas compared to the ACC, last year the conference championship was Florida State and Louisville. Can Clemson bounce back? You've also got, looking at their schedule, Syracuse should be pretty good.
I think that's overblown.
What about NC State?
NC State's going to be good.
Um,
NC State, I will say, I think has a high ceiling. I think they have a high ceiling and a pretty low floor.
Is there anyone else I'm missing that will be pretty good? Like
With the ACC?
Yeah, it's like Pitt or Boston College.
SMU.
SMU will be interesting to see.
I think
how they
SMU
fare.
is going to be good in their first year
Really?
in the ACC. Yes,
Oh.
I don't think it's going to be like, all right, welcome to power football, because I think that's typically overblown. Like when Missouri and A&M first joined the SEC, everyone was like, okay, have fun playing big boy football, and then for the first 2 years they dominated the SEC. They didn't dominate obviously because Alabama was there, but like Missouri made the conference championship 2 years in a row. A&M had a Heisman winner. The only reason they fell off is because of coaching. Like Missouri's coach retired, and then Kevin Sumlin turned out to not be that good.
Right.
So I think this like, oh, it's a step up from here. It's always overblown. It is always overblown. Sometimes, it does like merit some yeah, there's something to be said. Like Houston wasn't ready for the Big 12 last year. Cincinnati obviously wasn't. I think BYU and Central Florida, they had the talent, but I think Central Florida lost a ton of games they shouldn't have.
Right.
BYU, I think BYU lost a little momentum early in the season. They could have been better, but like ultimately they were that they were.
Honestly, yeah.
So I don't think SMU is going to fall off.
I mean, the more and more I think about it, I'm going to say that the Big 12 is probably a little bit better of a football conference than the ACC.
I think it's comparable.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking the names and stuff, and I'm like, if Arizona bounces back, does well, TCU, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Coach Prime in Colorado would be interesting to see.
I just think they're a bowl team next year.
Right. I think if the ACC and the Big 12 were to like match up like best on best like they do for like
if they did like an ACC Big 12 challenge.
Exactly. I think the Big 12 would be ahead.
That would be great in college football.
I think it would, honestly.
That would be awesome.
I think they're very comparable.
It would just like if they did conference challenges like they do in basketball.
Like a basketball, like do like a week 3 or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like you get a couple of your gimmies out of the way.
Yeah.
First real test of the year around week 3. Right before you head into conference play. That would be a great idea, honestly.
This is only tangentially related. But all the teams moving into the Big 10, UCLA, USC,
Oregon, Washington.
Washington, I don't know about just because they're losing a ton of talent and also their head coach.
Right.
I don't think UCLA is going to be that good. But Oregon and USC, I don't think there's going to be any drop-off just because they're going to the Big 10. The Pac-12 was the best conference of football last year.
Yeah.
It was the best conference of football. And the Big 10, outside of 3 teams, sucked.
Yeah.
They were terrible.
It's usually how it goes year in and year out for the Big 10. It's usually Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan as of recent years.
Yeah.
And I think Michigan's going to have a drop-off. Ohio State should be very good. It's just a matter of not if you believe in the transfers that they brought in.
Yeah.
Oregon looks ridiculous if on paper.
Can I give you a little preview?
Sure.
As of June 18th.
Go for it.
I have Oregon number 1 in my preseason.
I can honestly see that. Between Dylan Gabriel and the talent that they have, and
Dan Lanning and Will Stein.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then also, their backup is a quarterback that was a starter for a Power 5.
Yeah, former 5-star recruit.
Yeah, and Dante Moore. It's quite interesting the depth that they have at certain positions, as well as I haven't gone into like a deep dive into their defense just to see what it is.
They're, I think, more physical than people give them credit for. And so if there's any Big Ten's going to be more physical than the Pac-12, which again I think is going to be overblown because the Pac-12 is the best conference of football last year. They're fine. Oregon's physical.
The matchups that I'm looking forward to the most would probably be Oregon, Ohio State, and then probably Texas, Georgia.
As far as like the teams going to new conferences, just like in general.
Probably just in general.
I think one of the games I'm most excited about, if we're excluding Louisville from this, because I'm very excited.
Yeah,
very excited about Louisville. Really, really excited to see us play Austin Peay. No, I'm really excited to see Georgia at Ole Miss.
Yes, I really like this Ole Miss team too. I just didn't throw them in there because I still have question marks about that defense. The offense, I don't have any questions about. I know what they can do. I know what they can put up. It's just, can that defense get stops? That's the only question mark I really have about Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. I think it's, I'm high on Ole Miss.
I am too. I really like what they got going for them.
Before we move on, this is something that kind of flew under the radar a lot because the big thing with the Big 12 selling their naming rights is the fact that they would be like, "Ooh, we're the Shell 12," or whatever. They're also, yeah, I know. They're also considering selling part of their, they're considering selling part of the conference to private equity firms.
So college football is going to become a private entity?
Conferences might.
That's wild.
I don't think the SEC or Big Ten would ever do this because they don't have to do this. But
So, yeah, I don't know.
it's something they're considering.
It's a weird type of like arms race we're seeing in college sports right now.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No.
All right. Let's move on to Dan Hurley.
So Dan Hurley obviously turned down the Lakers job. Turns out that he wasn't even offered as much as Kentucky was offering him, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, the biggest and baddest offer the Lakers could offer couldn't even touch the offer that couldn't get him away from UConn in the first place. But basically, he came out with a quote and said, and it's kind of a funny quote saying why he kind of stayed, and this is just a little snippet of it. He said, "That's why I like coaching guys this age. They're dumber than NBA players. I wouldn't have been able to pull that stuff off, but I got a great commitment from the group I told them." So basically what he's referring to is his players as well as the level of competition, in that his scheme may have not potentially worked in the NBA because players are smarter, is what I took from it.
I think he's joking.
Oh, he's 1,000%
Yeah.
joking. But it's also just a fun snippet to have with it.
I got a question, though. Do you think this hurts him as far as recruiting goes?
What hurts him?
This quote.
No.
You don't think there's going to be some coach that's like talking to some kid on there, like trying to recruit him, be like, "Hey, Dan Hurley literally said he stayed in college because the people are dumber." Like you really want to go to a coach that thinks you're dumb? It might work on someone.
It might, but then also it's like, if Dan Hurley came up to me, he's like, "Hey, I got you a spot on my team. I got 2 national championships the past 2 years. Come with me and win a third." That's a hell of a pitch. Like, I think it's just standard stuff to have other programs try to down other programs. Basically, it's just
Yeah, but I mean, I think it might work for someone. I know, obviously, Dan Hurley is joking, but I think there is going to be at least one guy that comes along that another coach is like, Dan Hurley literally thinks you're stupid, and that's why he wants to coach you. And they're going to be like, huh, well, okay. And then when they meet with Dan Hurley, they're probably not going to bring it up. They're not going to be like, I hear you think I'm stupid. They're probably just going to like have it in the back of their mind and be like, no, I can't trust this guy. Because I think it's very easy to just look into this and be like, oh, he was joking. How many people do you think just wouldn't look into it if they're just told like, oh, this is the exact, you want me to read the quote for you? I'll read it for you.
I don't think it affects it too much, just because it's like Dan Hurley's basically like, look at what I've done on the court.
I think it affects him a little bit.
It might.
Not that much because it's an obvious joke, but I think it affects him a little bit.
It might, but I don't think it moves a needle or anything like that.
Not that much, no.
Right. But on to another coach.
Yeah, that was a quickie one.
Another quick one though. Colorado football last year had a mandatory Lil Wayne concert, and for some of them it was the final straw for some, as they were, quote, supposed to be there to support Shadur as a rapper, because apparently Shadur Sanders, who is Deion Sanders' son, was the opener for Lil Wayne at his concert in Colorado last year. The quote says, "Coach Prime told us we had to be there to support Shadur as a rapper. They were not all happy at all. To be honest, it was nothing but a huge distraction, and Daddy Ball was being played." The quote continues on. But that's basically the quote. I thought I had more. Never mind. But it's kind of funny.
It's interesting if it's true.
Imagine. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I'm going to give Deion Sanders the benefit of the doubt here, simply because like I think there's a lot of people trying to drag his name through the mud. This could have been something where it was like this is a bonding experience for the team. Like, I'm making you go to this to try and bond.
Mm.
Um,
Imagine you're
and
just
I
like
don't
some
know.
offensive lineman guy from Utah and you have no interest in this type of music or want to be there. You know, it is one of those things where it's like, if I was to make you go to like a death metal concert and I'm just an absolute metalhead, would you want to attend that?
No, I would not enjoy
See,
that.
exactly. So I think this is probably a similar boat for certain guys where they're just like, this isn't my genre of music that I want to enjoy or listen
Yeah.
to.
I get that.
But it's mandatory and you have to go and it's loud as can be and people are moshing and all this other stuff.
Yeah, that's not the best. It's definitely not the best. Like, if you're gonna do some mandatory, like, hey, let's bond. Like, I don't know, like,
Do an activity.
yeah, like, play paintball or something.
Do a field day of some sort.
Yeah, go like, go to a pool, go swim.
Right.
You know,
People can.
it's surprisingly warm in Colorado. Do you know that?
I can believe it.
Part of Colorado, fun fact, is in the Sun Belt. A tiny little bit of the southern part of Colorado.
How about that?
Bet you didn't know that one.
Nope.
I just know this because I went to school with someone from Denver, and she was like, Colorado's warm. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, it's warmer than here. I was like, that's crazy.
That is wild.
Anyway. No, I don't know. I just think a lot of stuff has come out about Deion Sanders. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but
Right.
yeah. I'm also trying to see. I'm trying to see if they have any offensive linemen from Utah, just out of curiosity.
Oh, just see if that's accurate
Yeah.
or not. I don't know. It was just
No, I
saying
mean,
something.
let's figure it out. Let's
I think you. Oh,
There
there
we
you
go.
go.
all right.
O lineman.
Mississippi, Cash Cleveland doesn't have his listed. Let's just say he's from Ohio. Texas, Mississippi, Texas. There's got to be more O linemen, really?
They only have 3 O linemen. 4 or 5. They only have 5 O linemen.
They only have 5 listed.
That's kind of wild.
They've got a lot of O linemen. I know they do. Oh, here we go. There's more. Here's
Offensive
more.
tackle.
Yeah, Texas, Illinois, Florida, D.C.
They have a punter. Oh, that's our old punter.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Yeah, no one from Destin Wade, transferred from Kentucky. He's not good.
Oh, fair enough.
Sorry if you're watching this, Destin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he is. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know if there's much more to this. I don't want it to be true. I do think a lot of people are just trying to take Deion Sanders down.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it would not be the most shocking thing in the world if I found out beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was true.
I mean, all you have to do is just see if the Colorado football team was at a Lil Wayne concert in Colorado.
Well,
It's
not
pretty-
even that. You just have to like
Is there photos of them at the concert?
no, because they could all be there, but it could be what I said. Like, he was trying to make it a bonding experience for the team, and Shador was like also opening it. It was misconstrued as like
We're there to support Shador.
not to bond. But again, I would not be shocked if this were true. I think they're going to a bowl game. I'm going to say it.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we got Coleman Hawkins committing to Kansas State.
Yeah.
Yeah, he committed.
He went for a bag and he got the bag.
He sure did. It's
It's rumored to be one of the most lucrative college NIL deals ever, basically.
yeah.
Rumored to be close to or right around $2 million. Very similar, if not more, than what Great Osaboro got at Washington. Personally, I thought he might be going to SMU after it came out that he
I did
was
too.
after it came out that he was between Kansas State, SMU, and Louisville, and then they decided to either he did or the school did. We're not sure on Louisville's aspect of canceling the visit over the weekend. And then he decided to go to
Kansas State.
Kansas State instead.
Yeah.
Uh,
Never even went on a visit to SMU,
yeah, so
which is crazy because SMU would have ponied up.
they got the money.
No pun intended. They would have ponied up. I'm just genuinely shocked that
Is
Kansas
he
State
this
had the
good of
money.
a player? Like, I'm trying to remember
He's-
Iowa's run, and I'm like, Terry Shannon, I thought was like the guy.
He was. He's available.
Huh.
He's the best guy available.
Fair enough.
You know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we're seeing that that gets you paid the most because when Omar Ballo got 1.2 million. I
Yeah.
was like, Jesus Christ. They broke the
Shelled it
bank
out.
for this guy.
And then Great Saboro happened.
Well, a ton of people got more than
Balo.
than Ballo now. Yeah, like Case and Pryor got 1.3.
Wow.
I don't know if Case and Pryor is better than Ballo, but I do like Case and Pryor. But no, I think it's just showing that like it quite literally it pays to be the last one standing in the portal.
Yeah, of a high talent level.
Yeah, I mean
You do have to be good to get money.
he is good.
Yeah.
And I think part of the appeal probably for Kansas State is they got Ugana Onyenso to transfer there. And Onyenso can do nothing but play the 5. And he wanted to play the 4.
Oh, I see.
And so that's kind of a guarantee like, oh, you're going to start at the 4. You're not going to be you're not going to play the 5. Potentially he could start at the 3. I don't know. Depends on what Jerome Tang wants to do because he's also got Akor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to pronounce. I've heard that name pronounced like 3 or 4 different ways. I'm just going to say Akor.
Okay.
Akor is also a 4.
Okay.
Didn't mean to rhyme.
Okoro goes to 4?
Yeah. I don't know if Akor comes off the bench or if he plays him with Coleman Hawkins and they just go like a mega big lineup of, like 3 guys that are like 6'10 plus.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, this definitely Kansas State already had a pretty solid transfer portal class. They lost a lot, but they had a solid class, and I think this puts them above it. I think they probably go back to the tournament.
Huh.
I think Coleman Hawkins puts them back in the tournament.
I can see it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
In a competitive Shell Big 12. Or Shell 12.
Yeah, Shell 12.
All right.
I mean, anything else?
Not really, no.
Yep. Okay, you know what? I got one more thing for you because we've only been going for about 45 minutes.
Okay.
We're going to do I don't think you're a huge gambler, right?
A huge gambler? No.
Yeah, but compared to me, you're an addict.
To the moon. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't ever do.
What do you want me to do?
No, I'm not telling you to gamble. I'm just saying.
I'll gamble.
No, I'm not telling you to. I'm just we're making up lines.
You're making me gamble. What am I gambling?
No, we're
on?
making up lines.
I want to gamble.
I'm saying, okay, maybe you do have a problem. So, we're going the next. You want to do the next 5 years or next 10 years? You pick before knowing.
5. 5 is easier.
Okay. Over the next 5 years, I'm going to throw some teams at you.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, do they win a national championship in football over the next 5 years?
Next 5 years.
Yeah. Do you want to do 5 now or you want to move it to 10?
Let's just do 5.
All right. We're going to start off with Florida State.
No.
No? I mean, what are the odds? Like, what's if you're going like plus what? Like, what's the odds?
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know how to set it.
Do it. Let's just do it.
Okay. Plus for Florida State.
Yeah. Let me try to. I have the ESPN Bet app just to like be aware of lines and stuff. I think I've literally I pulled it up twice, but like.
So let me see what there are this year.
Yeah, and they're probably not bad this year. Like Florida State's odds to win the national championship. It's probably pretty solid.
You can already.
Is it on futures? Yeah, here it is. Florida State is plus 3,000
for this year.
For this year.
So you kind of.
And they have some of the better odds.
Yeah, so you lower that a little bit just because it's a 5-year span rather than 1 year.
Yeah.
Let's do 2,000.
Wait, so plus 2,000?
Yeah, so you lower the odds because you get 5 years worth rather than 1 year worth.
Okay.
See if they win.
I didn't know.
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
That's how my head's thinking it.
All right, Florida State. Next up, I'm gonna give you. I'll give you Texas A&M. Their odds this year are plus 5,000.
Plus 10,000. I don't
plus
see
10,000.
it.
Oh,
they're gonna have a new coach. They're gonna figure that out.
I mean, Elko's a good coach.
Oh, Elko is a new coach. Yeah.
Elko is a good coach.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
All right, let me give you Clemson.
From here to the moon. No.
Okay, but their odds right now are plus 4,000.
No, I'm not touching that with a 10.5 foot pole for this year.
Okay, so what's the line?
Plus 450. I don't know. Like
450. Okay, so they have better odds in your mind than A&M.
No. My bad. My apologies. I'm not keeping track of what I'm saying right now. This is very hard exercise. I'm just saying.
I know, and I also just sprung it upon you.
Can I just do a yes or no, not odd base?
Well, that's not fun.
I don't know, man. I don't know how to set these odds. I'm not a bookie. I'm not a bookmaker.
Well, I'm trying to.
Are you training me for the future?
Yes. I'm trying to not coerce you. That's not the word, but
Oh, are you now? I'm coercing me into setting odds for gambling.
yeah. I'll just go with coerce. I'm trying to coerce you into becoming a bookie one day.
Oh, so where's my money, man? Hey.
Do bookies do that?
Yeah, bookies do that. If you don't pay,
But do they themselves do it, or they get others to do it?
probably both, I imagine.
I would imagine it's the latter.
You probably have to be rough around the edges.
So what? Plus 4,500 for Clemson. That's where we're going.
Sure. I don't remember where we're at.
A&M was plus 10,000.
See, A&M's lower. All right. The Clemson's 10,000. A&M's 5,000. I don't know.
Okay, interesting. Texas. They're plus 750.
I would kind of keep it around there. Plus 1,000, maybe.
Plus 1,000?
Maybe.
Okay. All right. Who else we got? I'll give you a few more.
Okay.
Penn State. Plus, they for this season they are plus 2,500.
Yeah. They're better than A&M. Plus 3,000, I would say. Just because, like, the conference got better and they never got over the hump of Michigan or Ohio State to make it to the final. So I mean, like they're like, if you were to tell me like Ole Miss or Penn State, that's right in the same, because it's like they haven't made it over the hump to made it to conference finals yet, but also like they're a very good team. Like,
to play devil's advocate for the expansion of the Big Ten, that means divisions are being done away with.
I'm aware.
And yeah, so they don't have to play Michigan and Ohio State every year. And in fact, they don't play Michigan and Ohio State. They play, I think they play Ohio State, but they don't play Michigan this year.
Right. Well, also I think Michigan's kind of fallen off, and it's a question of do they get matched up with like Oregon or the likes of it. Like, it really just with the no divisions within conferences now, where you know who you're going to play and how you have to match up against them. It's really how favorable will your schedule
That's
be?
exactly. It's
so it.
Well, we've seen it so far. It's like who's the best team, and then who plays them is like who has the most favorable schedule.
Right. Because, I mean, you could be the best team in your conference, in my opinion, but have a really hard schedule. And all it takes is 2 slip-ups, and your season's kind of done from a certain standpoint. Now, not so much, because you can still make the playoff. But at least in the BCS era, and even in the playoff era of 4 teams, if you lost 2, you're kind of done.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I see it. So, what do we put the odds at?
3,000.
Plus, okay. They do have a good coach.
Yeah.
Like Franklin Mason's a good coach.
Franklin is a good coach.
Is it Franklin Mason or Mason Franklin?
I thought it was like James Franklin.
James Franklin. Jesus Christ. James Franklin. You're right. Oh, that was rough. That was rough on my part. Anyway, here's a fun one. Florida. Plus 20,000 for this upcoming season.
Dude, they have an onslaught of games. They have the hardest schedule. Billy Napier's got to figure it out this year. He's in a tough spot. He's practically in line to just get fired, just because of the onslaught that they play.
Yeah, if they don't, I don't think if they win.
So plus 20,000 makes sense, just because they have to have. If we're going off of what I'm thinking in my head this year, in my predictions, is that they could be 6-6, and Florida's like, that doesn't cut it. We don't want to be a 6-6 program. He gets fired. They have to find a new coach, rebuild on top of that. That's at least a 3-4 year plan. You can maybe build it sooner in transfer portal. I think plus 20,000 is reasonable.
I mean, from what you're saying, it sounds like it would be higher than plus 20,000.
No, because he's got 5 years. There is a thought process where there is a 5-year plan among coaches where you can flip a program around in that time.
All right, makes sense. I'll give you a few more. Let's go Virginia Tech plus 30,000.
Yeah, keep it right there. I don't see anything that shows me, unless they have like another Vic come through where it's like, oh, this guy can carry us.
All right. Liberty plus 50,000.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, as far as winning the national championship,
Yeah.
yeah, plus $1 million. It could be whatever. I don't think Liberty in the playoff format is going to win make the playoff. Sure, they could definitely make the playoff,
All
but
right.
win it, no.
Okay.
We saw what happened to Oregon this year with them, or was it Ole Miss? Forget who. No, it was Oregon.
No, they played Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. This team is tied for the worst odds. Army plus 200,000.
You can make it $1 million, $1.5 million.
They've got worse odds than than Liberty.
Yeah, I think Liberty's a better team than Army. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, you're right. I was having fun with that one.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you one last one. It's a somewhat serious one. All right, let's go with
This is to win the national championship.
yes over the next 5 years.
It's really only like 10 teams that could really
I
win
know,
in the next
but we're
5
having
years.
fun with it. Iowa plus 30,000 this year.
No, then who's taking that bet? Like plus 50,000.
Plus 50,000. All right. All right. Well, you run to your nearest Roth bookie and scoop those lines up
Let
now.
me put it this way: for the next 5 years, the way I'm looking at it, there's only a handful of teams that can probably win the national championship,
I know.
unless there's drastic change.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even throw Clemson in there right now.
I wouldn't either.
Like
Because if he doesn't adapt, they're not
Like,
going
if we're honestly thinking about it realistically from the talent's perspective, now, talent doesn't equate to wins. We saw it with A&M. We saw it with USC. We've seen it with a lot of teams. But as far as, like, talent goes, to just even be in the conversation, it is Oregon. Let me go through the Big Ten first. Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State.
Michigan can recruit that way.
Michigan might be able to turn it around, but they've lost so much that in the next 5 years, sure, we'll throw Michigan in
And
there.
we're putting a lot of faith in Sharon Moore, if you really think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
if Sharon Moore gets canned, they're not going to win one in the next 5 years.
Okay, cool. That's about it for me in the Big Ten. Now,
Did you say USC? Did you include them in there?
sure, we'll throw USC.
Because I'm still high on Lincoln Riley.
I just wonder about that defense. I know they fired their defensive coordinator. It's just a big question mark for me.
They brought in a lot of new people.
Right.
But
And then, all right, so now let's go to the other big conference. Let's go SEC. Let's add the additions. Oklahoma and Texas are definitely quality programs. In any year, it could be their year, really. I think Texas has the best shot this year with the amount of talent that they have.
I think jury's still out on Brent Venables as a head coach. I don't know if any year can be Oklahoma's year because I think he can be a good head coach. We haven't seen him be an elite head coach.
All right. And then we obviously have Georgia.
Yeah.
No one's going to argue that. I would throw Ole Miss in there just because I'm high on them for this year.
Mm-hmm.
The question is does Kalen DeBoer do the same thing that he does at Washington over the course of 5 years? If you're optimistic about him, you would throw him in there as a possibility.
I would.
I honestly would throw Kentucky in there over the course of 5 years just because from the perspective of they actually have a decent quarterback room now.
Maybe.
I think from a talent perspective is what we're basing this on. Talent.
I think raw tools are slightly different than talent. We don't know if Brock Vandegrift has the talent. We know he was a 5-star recruit, so physically he's all the way there.
Right.
But we don't know if it translates to on the field.
Let me just put it this way: you have to have talent to get there, and then it comes with coaching and then other factors to put it all together. I think as far as talent goes, they are kind of getting there, and the way Mark Stoops has gone about it, I will honestly would put Kentucky in like just a smidge category below of where like Penn State is.
Really?
A smidge below, like
No.
Like Ole Miss, Penn State, yes. Ole Miss, Penn State, Notre Dame, that area, that 10-2, 9-3 team, borderline. All it takes is Kentucky to have a 3-loss season or less, and they're in the playoff in the SEC.
But they've only I think they've gone 9-3 in the regular season twice under Stoops.
Right.
And he's been there for 11 years.
Sounds about right.
I don't think he's shown that he's got that extra gear to like get him over the hump.
I'm just saying. Like,
And also with Vandegrift, physically he's all the way there. Like he's a 5-star kid. I just don't know about his talent on the field.
kind of.
No one knows yet.
I mean, kind of at this point, because of the way the playoff is going to be set up with 12 teams and then eventually 16 in the next 2 years, if we're talking about 5-year span, you really, in these major conferences, 3 losses or less gives you a chance to dance. And then once you dance, anything can happen. That's the way I'm kind of viewing this right now.
Maybe, but like I don't know.
Because it opens up the window for a lot of teams to have the possibility.
The problem with Kentucky though is like Stoops has never had that like signature win. I mean, his signature wins have come against Louisville.
Well, see, here's the thing though: is like I'm going to throw Louisville in there as well, and I think Kentucky and Louisville are very comparable when it comes to their football programs. Currently speaking,
I don't. Currently speaking, maybe, but like
I think this year is going to be a very good matchup. Like, I think it's going to be a very good game.
Potentially. I don't know. Louisville doesn't have the same depth they had last year.
No, they don't.
I think their starters are better. They don't have the same depth.
Right. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the injury bug will play, all these other factors. That's the other thing, is that you got to stay healthy. But, I mean, for 5 years.
I don't know. I wouldn't put Louisville or Kentucky in that.
Because here's the way I'm looking at it, is like who are going to be the top 16 teams every 5 years, basically. Is the way I'm looking at it. So I'm like, you could realistically throw in, like, at a max, like 30 programs. Because there's going to be changes in all this other thing. I mean, there's going to be the consistent 7, 8 teams that are going to always get in. But the back end of that could fluctuate.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, I mean, like, if you could do 8, 8, 8, right, 8 all the years, that leaves you, what, 40 different teams, possibly?
Plus those, like, 7 to 8 that always get in.
Right. So no, I'm saying like if you do 8 times 5.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. That's 40 new teams. So I mean like there's a good bit of teams that could have a shot of winning it. And I mean like now that we're going into this bracket format, anything's possible. I mean we've seen it in March. There's a reason why there's Cinderellas. There's now going to be Cinderellas within football.
Maybe. I think. Yeah. I mean I think right out of the gate, it's the 12-team playoff's going to be more competitive than the detractors are saying. Like, I mean, that's exactly what happened with the 4-team playoff.
Right.
There were people being like, why would you expand? Only 2 teams can win it every year. And then Ohio State wins it as the 4 seed in year 1.
Right.
When a lot of people were clamoring, like, they don't deserve to be in. Baylor should have gotten in over them. And it's like, okay, well, that just shows that if that's true, if Baylor deserved to be in over them and then they went out and win it, 5 teams can win it all.
Right.
And so
it's going to come down to who it's going to be like basketball. It's going to be like, are you going to be hitting your stride at the right time?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Also, it's just like in football, at least, it only takes a couple of plays to drastically change a game.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying.
And that's why I'm like, it's not like if we're being realistically, it's like pick the 5 next teams that are going to win national championship. Okay, Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia. Done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of.
It's like you could do that, and then that's no fun in an exercise.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta want to have some fun with it. You're like, yeah, let's throw these other teams out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I know what you're saying. I do. I get your argument. I do. I would have to do a deep dive on it. And considering I just sprung this upon you,
yeah,
there was no deep dive to be had.
I enjoyed it though. I did kind of change it from your bookie philosophy, but
I know, but it's fine. I still squeezed the bookie out of you. I'm coercing you. Don't worry.
How much money am I gambling today?
All right.
Here,
anything else?
Hold on, let's.
We're gonna gamble real quick.
We got a live bet. Pick a player to win a point in tennis.
What?
Yeah,
I don't know. No, I don't know anything about tennis.
You want to bet soccer? What are you talking, snooker?
I don't know about anything about snooker.
Yeah, it's pool over in like London or something. It's a Champions League. It's pretty high level snooker.
Snooker is the third thing that pops up
for live because it's a midday on a Wednesday. There's not too many athletic events going on.
Jesus, people, there needs to be more services, social services for people with gambling addictions.
Oh, there is. There's like 1-800-GAMBLER, and apparently there's a dude that called them and was like, hey. I have a gambling problem. They're like, okay, good. He's like, so what's the purpose of this number? To provide you resources? And he goes, yeah, I just lost $4,000. She goes, I don't want to hear that. Click, and just hung up on
I
him.
don't know if that's real.
It's funny.
That's not real.
It's funny, though.
It's not real at all. All right. You have anything else? Because I don't want to help you live bet on snooker.
What about tennis?
No, I don't know enough about tennis.
I don't know either. I
watch challengers. That doesn't make me qualified.
I don't know who Bill Harris is or Thomas Martin Echeverry. Plus
right.
115. We're gonna bet $1.
That's a sign. We gotta end the episode. You're live betting on tennis.
I'd bet $1, man.
You know what? We'll come back next week.
Let's see how that result is.
You know what? Actually, send me a screenshot of whether you win or lose. We'll post it in the community.
Oh, that's the money line. Oh, I gotta wait a while. I thought it was for the next point. Oh well, whatever.
All right.
We'll see.
Yeah, so like, subscribe. If you like live betting during recording of a show, then like and subscribe.
There you go.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye-bye.